surprising that we can feel afraid to fly because we don't do it on a regular basis. If we were getting in a plane every day, we would probably be fine, unless we had sort of a bad experience somewhere with turbulence.
Yeah, but statistically, though, flying is the safest.
Yes, it is. It's very safe, absolutely. But it's this control issue, because it's about when we get in a plane that we feel we're not in control. We're not flying it, we're relying on somebody else to fly it. We're in this enclosed space. So it's tied in with a feeling of loss of control.
Do you think one of the reasons might be because it's so unusual for having accidents, for instance, air accidents, that when it does happen, it's big news?
Yes, there is that, but I think that's not really the reason people have a fear of flying, usually. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but for most people that I see, their fear of flying is not actually about the actual aeroplane and the flying. It's about not being in control. So it will be connected with something else that's happened in their life where they haven't felt in control.
So they're giving away control to somebody else,
yes.
and that is very disabling.
Yes, yes, and that's what a lot of this is about, and that's why we get these air rage cases where people then are, they're frightened, they're feeling this loss of control, and they drink loads of alcohol, which makes them even more out of control, and we get air rage happening, which is actually quite dangerous and distressing for other people on the plane if someone is out of control. But it is tied in with this feeling of a lack of control, a loss of control. And so you will find that for people who have this fear, that often other parts of their lives are affected by feelings of being out of control. So it is important to address the flying so that they become confident and comfortable and able to enjoy flying, and that then spreads into other parts of their lives so they feel confident and capable and in control of other parts of their lives.
So disconnect the control element of the flying.
Yes, the flying it's an acceptable thing to have a fear of, and it's often that the fear that people present, that this about being out of control, is because of something deeper in their lives. It could be that they worried about their parents splitting up, or somebody being ill, or something like that, and that was something that upset them and made them fearful, but that they couldn't talk about because it was too frightening. So then we can put it into another object, like an aeroplane.
So first of all, you have to identify that
yes.
thing which is affecting this control problem,
yes.
and once you've dealt with that or put it in a context or perspective.
Yeah, it's the perspective, it's the understanding. Understanding is the key. Once we understand something, then we can deal with it. Whatever it is, we can deal with something we understand. We can't deal with something we don't understand. And for many of us, a phobia, if you like, or a fear of flying, or anything else that that we have a fear of, is something we've been able to park our fear in that, because that's something it's acceptable to be frightened of or anxious about, rather than these other fears that we're not sure about. We can't understand.
Other fears, though, aren't we?
Of course we are, but sometimes it can be too distressing to have that other fear. So for most children, they will worry at some point about a parent dying, but that can be too distressing. So they might instead start worrying about, something like spiders, or, it could be anything, or a bogeyman.
Which has a kind of morbid overtone.
Yes, and also it's something that seems fairly logical to say I'm frightened of, rather than I'm frightened of my mum or my dad dying. That could be too frightening to even voice, although it could be in our heads. We could be too frightened to voice it, but we could say I'm frightened of spiders.
And by articulating that,
yes.
it's quite okay. So
because that's acceptable. So it is acceptable to have a fear of flying. It's just a shame because flying is really enjoyable. So I work with people so that they have lovely flights and they relax and they enjoy the journey, the flight, as part of a holiday or part of what they're doing, rather than just a means to an end. Actually getting on the plane and relaxing and enjoying it.